Good evening, everyone, and welcome once again to our usual Monday program, The Debate. This is a program where we are aimed at popularizing the Agenda 2063. And today, with me, we're going to have three panelists who will be thrilling us through this program. And our topic for today is a strong continent driven by its people. We are asking ourselves, how can promoting capacity building, peer learning, and knowledge sharing help in making Agenda 2063 a reality? Just to recall that this is our 22nd edition of the program, The Debate, and we are working with youths all over the world, all over Africa, in the diaspora as well. And today, like I said, with me will be Nomadlo Molangu, who will equally be joined in the studio by Eric Williams and Dr. Rosalind Dressman. Nomadlo, you're welcome to the Sunpoint Global TV, your space. This is your platform, so feel free. Can you introduce yourself to us? You've been on our program sometimes and you got so busy, and now you're back again. Let us hear a word, get a word from you before we continue with our program, Noma.
Hi everyone, my name is Noma Tlou Mahlangu from South Africa. I'm the founder of the organization called Golden Youth Club, and I work with the Peer Leader International based on the capacity building to change the mindset and create opportunity to young people across the world.
Thank you, Noma. It seems you're a square peg in a square hole, and we are so happy to have you again on our program. While we are waiting for the rest of the panelists to join us, we are going to go ahead with our program. And Noma, I would like to know from you, from a national, regional, and continental level, what is your point of view on the African people? Remember, our topic today is how can promoting capacity building, peer learning, and knowledge sharing help in making Agenda 2063 a reality? And before I even get to asking you that very first question, I would like you to know that Agenda 2063 is not well known by our youth, and we are here to do our own part to make this agenda known by youth. So, according to you, Norman, what is your point of view on the African people? Are they being prepared to drive this fantastic continent into greater heights? We're talking about Agenda 2063 here, and we want the African people to actually be involved in driving this fantastic continent into greater height. What is your take about this?
According to my opinion, I don't think African people are being prepared by the government in order to be ready for Agenda 2063. I think we as an individually are preparing ourselves based on the circumstances and the situations that we are facing daily. What I'm saying, it's like most of us are taking initiatives to make sure that there is a city building in our community level without any support from the government. It means like we are taking more initiative than the government, and I cannot say we are not prepared. We are prepared based on what we have done on ourselves individually across Africa.
Okay, we prepared how about what we have done about ourselves across Africa. Norma, our topic is quite a broad topic today. We have promoting capacity building, peer learning, and knowledge sharing. Can you just throw more light on these three keywords that we have on our question this evening?
Let me start about saying per learning and knowledge sharing, it's different. We have the school system, which the school system doesn't prepare our young people to be on the leadership platform, but the school system prepares them to be on to wait and be on waiting to get a job, not opening their mindset in terms of being entrepreneurs. But what young people or the organization or the community organization are doing are changing the mentality for the young people informally on an educational level level to share the knowledge that they have. What I understand is that education is not something that you need to go to school only, but you learn it everywhere, and any day. So what I can say is that we share knowledge in different ways. I mean, it's like we are having different brains as human beings, so we are not meant to do the same thing, so we are not meant to do things in the same way. So the school system, it has made us to do things in the same way. It's like telling a fish and telling a snake and telling a bird to climb the tree. But with the knowledge that the organizations across Africa doing, like they are giving different people an opportunity to express themselves, to know how to deal with the issues, and in a different way, to know how to share information in a different way, to give a young people, or give young people a platform to learn in different ways. We learn through art, we learn through music, we learn through peer education, we learn through the programs of nutrition. How come it's like we can saying that we are having a best school system while we are having an issue that we complete in South Africa we have a 12 years of schooling, and then after you find yourself in a 3 years university, you can't even fix one thing, you can't fix an electricity, you can't cook, you can't farm, but you are saying you are having a best education. So we are changing that mentality with the knowledge that we have from the community organization, from the exchange that we are having, like now exchange that we are having from Africa to Africa, from Europe to Africa. This is the way of saying we have to learn, and then we have to focus on the things that we are dealing with it every day in our entire life, that this is the best education that we can. One person must learn to be independent, not to learn to be dependent. This is the knowledge sharing. And when you learn something, when you know something, you have to share with other people, so that we can say it's an education of peer to peer as well.
Okay, Norma, I just looking on the platform and I see that school system unfortunately prepares young people to become employees, not entrepreneurs. And that just took me back to yesterday I was attending a seminar and one elderly person insisted on the fact that in promoting education in our local areas, it should be made in a way that any child who is completing from primary school is able to do something with the hands, is able to have a handwork that he can rely or depend on if at all he doesn't get employed by some other person. That is to say, he should be able to employ himself. And you insist equally that education is not only being formal, but equally informal. So, if we want to base on informal education, which is the education that we actually know, the education which is that's our traditional education before becoming westernized with what we are learning today, how can we apply capacity building in our informal education? Norma, is an impromptu question like that. Just want to see if there is a possibility of applying capacity building actually in our traditional education. Is it possible?
It's possible if we can implant the leadership skills to these young people and give them a platform to recognize what is affecting them and deal with it on the leadership skill, on the leadership way. It's like what I'm trying to say, it's when you can identify your work, you can identify things that are affecting you daily in your life and deal with accordingly. It means like you are willing to implement the capacity building in your community. What it means like we need to have platform where we give skills to the young people and make sure that those skills, when they learn it, they know how to implement it, and they can stand on their own and in front of the people and stand across the world and say we can do this, not to depend to anyone.
Thank you so much. And I was just wanting to relate again to what we have around on the curriculum, which is a competence-based approach, helping students to be able to solve their own daily problems themselves and not just getting into theory. and end up not being able to handle daily issues. And Norma, we are in the era of peer learning. Are we sure Africans really trust in their own fellows, or is imported learning worth the trouble? Do Africans trust in their own knowledge that they have here in Africa, or they want to depend on foreign knowledge or knowledge coming from outside to influence the natural or the traditional learning that we already you talked of?
Before we can say they can trust their knowledge, people as Africans, we need to decolonize ourselves. Like we are still colonizing ourselves after we are being colonized and we get the freedom, but our mindset are still uh, colonized. So if we decolonize our mind, and it's whereby we can trust our knowledge, I think we should go back to our roots and go back where we come from. And then those elders who have knowledge must do a mentorship to young people, so that people can be proud on who they are. Once you are proud to who you are and understand where you come from, and not underestimate yourself, and you have an ability to stand on your own. It's what I'm saying now. It's
We
like,
lost.
yes, yes, we have a platform, we have an opportunity to build our capacity and trust our knowledge from and trust our knowledge.
Okay, Norma, we lost you there. The lines went off. Thank God you're back. Talking about peer learning, whether Africans trust in their fellows or is imported learning trustworthier?
It is important to trust ourselves as an individual. I think we have an ability to do on our own. We should acknowledge the knowledge that we have. We should acknowledge the skills that we have as an Africans. We don't need an approval to anyone or to any Western education. We have to trust on what we have, because on our knowledge are the practical ones, are the ones that we are dealing with the issue daily. If we want to implement what is happening in the Western life and in our African continent, in most cases, it's something that it's not irrelevant to us, because it's not something that it's happening to our daily lives. So it's really important that we should acknowledge what we have, and then in matter of acknowledging what we have, we should make sure that we share those skills amongst each other, and we should make sure that we don't lose hope, and uh, we don't distrust ourselves from what we know. And then with the education, those who have a better education on the western level, like the formal education, they should go back on the grassroots and share the information with the people that who have indigenous knowledge, and then they should combine those knowledge and make sure that the African people stand together and build our community.
Norma, you bear with me that our traditional education is not even taught again in schools. I remember when I was in primary school, there used to be this aspect of handwork, which was taken very seriously, and every pupil, every student was supposed to produce something with his or her own hands. And it was so an exciting week for that particular activity. But today, you will see that that is very fast disappearing in our schools, and you talk of decolonizing our minds and trust in our knowledge. But our own things are not being actually propagated. But then I was equally coming again, bringing that point to draw you to the aspect that we find along in our different African countries. When you walk around and you see great projects, we can cite things like road construction, management of deep sea ports, equipment of hospitals. We always find that these are being handled by foreign companies. How do you appreciate this type of mentality that we cannot trust in our own knowledge, that we train people and we think that they are not good enough to handle our own things. And this issue of COVID 19 has just come to expose many things. What is your take about foreign knowledge having a great impact in our African society?
Let us be honest, the people, let me say, in most cases, the companies, the big companies from the foreign countries who come in our countries and do those construction, the big construction like the bridges and all the stuff, they come with they are not practically doing the work, but they are hiring the people on the grassroots to do the work. Who has the capability of doing that work? It's us again. It's just that we had this mentality that the cure of a black person is a white person. This is what we have in our mentality. So we need to shift to that level and go back and say, if I can go there and do it as a worker, it means that I'm capable of doing it as a company and trust on ourselves. And the other thing that besides as people that who are working in those companies and trusting on ourselves, we as the people that who are hiring, our government need to trust our people, and us as local people, we need to trust our local people that they will give the service, the good service that we want. If we want something that to construct something big, the other thing, us as well, if I have a business company, I need to know that I need to make sure that I give the good service to the people so that the people can acknowledge and recommend me in future. If I don't take my work serious as an African person, who will take me serious? This is the other thing that we need to focus us. We need to learn and need to do as African business, that we need to promote our work, and you live your work every day. If as an individually always wearing wearing a t-shirt that's saying Adidas, it means that I'm giving a free advertisement to Adidas, and then without any payment. But I can't, I as an individually can't give my company and can't give the people that who are trying to do something, suing some work. Like example, you are wearing an African t-shirt, it means like you are promoting something that has been done by an African person. So this is something that we need to put on our mentality and make sure that we don't discourage each other. We must support local business. We must make sure that we support each other as African people, and make sure that we recommend each other when there is an opportunity. The problem with us, it's like we want to make sure all the time that we are not giving each other an opportunity, and then when we want to get to give someone an opportunity, we make sure that there is a corruption. I need to get something in order to make sure that I give my brother something. We must stop to do that. We must start to recognize each other. Our white people in most cases, they make sure that they are supporting each other business. If I have nothing to inherit as a young person, how will my children inherit something? So we need to start to build something that is inherited from generation to generation, in order to make sure to that to make that it happen. We need to support each other as African people, and then it doesn't matter whether I come from South Africa or Cameroon or whatever, or Nigeria. The fact remains that we are Africans, and then we need to always support each other and make sure that people recognize us and take us serious. If we take each other serious, they will take us serious as well.
Thank you, Norma, so much for that submission. When you were talking, I saw you so passionate about what you were saying, and that draws my mind again to the huge sums of money that this foreign knowledge is being paid. You take two people, one is a foreigner and one is an indigenous or African. You discover the same job that the two people will do, and the Africans do it better because it is in their country that they are doing it. It is for his or her own people that he or she is doing it. But you look at the pay package, you will not be happy with what will be given to an African. He will be paid one quarter, while the foreigner who is going to do the same job is paid so much huge sums of money. And that is so pitiful. And I was still wanting to take us back to competence based approach. Norma, are you convinced that our African people can do the things that our governments still believe that only foreigners can do? I am talking about road constructions. I'm still on equipping hospitals, and managing our deep sea ports, because these are strategic areas in an economy which actually generates much income, which has a great influence on its people. Do you think personally that our African brothers and sisters can do this job in a way that somebody will have something to write home about?
Okay, let me say yes. They are capable of doing it. I will give an example in South Africa because I'm based in South Africa. South Africa now, things are changing, even though people may not recognize this, but they are changing in a way that the construction business, things like building roads, building hospitality, building malls, are given more. The opportunities are given more to African people. It's like it's called BBE, like Black Business Entrepreneurs Support. Like they are giving it the opportunities to them, because I think now people are open minded that if they don't start to circulate the money around them, it means like they will perish. And then if that opportunities of not getting, or the government go back to white people, it means like they will never get those opportunities. It's like we are already doing practical example in terms that African people are capable of building roads, are capable of building um hospitals, are capable of building malls, are capable of building the big things besides just the building and the construction of the things. They are also capable of running the running most of the big business across the Africa. So I believe it is possible. And for those African countries that they are not the government doesn't recognize that yet, it's about time they should recognize the people that who are around them and see their capability.
Thank you so much. I want to greet all those who are watching us live on Facebook and on YouTube. This is the Some Point Global TV, and the program that you're watching or listening now is The Debate. And I have with me in the studio Nomatlo Mulangu, who is from South Africa. Thank you very much, Noma, for being with us this evening. Our topic again, I want to remind those who are just tuning in, is how can promoting capacity building, peer learning, and knowledge sharing help in making Agenda 2063 a reality? Noma, we are still on this issue of knowledge sharing, and you discover that people work in a company, somebody has the skills, the knowledge, but that person doesn't want that another person can do the same job that he or she is doing. Is that very correct? Do you think that if we have to work in that type of manner, we will be able to achieve all the aspirations, all the good things that we are aiming to have in hand come 2063? Do you think sharing
We,
knowledge is very important, or we shouldn't share knowledge at all?
for me, it's really important to sharing. People, we must stop to be selfish, because it's if, there is a say that say you what I'm trying to say, it's like when you plant something or you plant a knowledge to someone, it means that you will reap tomorrow. You don't have to expect something that will happen directly to you. When the someone plants something to me as young person in Africa in order to build my capacity, it means like I need to share the knowledge that I get from the someone and then share it to other young people. This it means like it's a it's a lock of generation to generation, and then it means that whatever that we have you have planted today cannot perish, but it will continue from one generation to generation. We must stop to compete against each other. We must not see each other as a competition. We must start to see as something that to lean on. If I help you, I know you will help someone else. Example, if one person help, if I help one two people, and those two people help another two, it means it's four people, and those four people help another four people. How many is it? It's a growing of one generation to one generation to another. Let us start to make sure that whatever the knowledge that we have, we don't keep it to ourselves. Whatever the knowledge that we have accomplished, we must not keep it to ourselves and share it to another. We are not a competition to each other. Let us support each other. Let us build each other every day, and then learn to share or to build someone per day. Just when you sleep and you say, this is, at least I have changed the life of a one person per day.
Thank you. I love when you talked of helping one person, it helps another. That makes two. When you help two, it makes four. That is a network. And we always say that our network is our net worth. So that is very important, Norma. Somebody is asking us what do we mean by capacity building? And I think when you began, we talked of harnessing the skills that we have so that we can be able to identify our problems and solve these problems ourselves. And we're talking and insisting again on knowledge sharing. Having knowledge all alone, and when you go down your grave and the knowledge disappears, it is not a good idea because the knowledge has to be harnessed, the knowledge has to be shared from generation to generation. And of course, when it is good knowledge, we need to always have this knowledge, modified so that it can handle our daily problems. Living is solving problems. So if we have means of solving the problems and we do not share that knowledge that we have to solve a particular problem, you will discover that we end up losing that knowledge. And I want to relate that equally to our traditional herbs. We are Africans and we have our traditional herbs, and most of our parents, most of our grandparents have died without ever sharing the knowledge of the small things that they know about herbs around the compound that can cure somebody, from just simple cold, that can cure somebody from toothache, that can cure somebody from a spring or something. And all of this knowledge has been wasted. And when you get into a family and you ask, oh, your father used to be able to do this, who is able now or who has been left behind to carry out that particular activity? And we discover that nobody knows actually what was happening. Nobody can help the family again. And so that knowledge is wasted. So we are insisting this evening on knowledge sharing. We should be open and ready to share the knowledge that we have with each other so that we together can make Africa what we want it to be and make Africa better, or if not best, by 2063. Thank you so much, Norma, for being there. And we are popularizing our Agenda 2063 and calling equally on all the youths, all African youths, both in the continent and out of the continent in the diaspora, that they should put their hands on deck so that this agenda, which is our agenda, should be known, should be spread to all nooks and crannies of the world. Thank you so much, Norma. Oh, no, no, no. We have technical problems there. Norma, thank God we are back again. That is the Africa that we are facing. Poor network communication, but we will not relent. We will continue to do our best so that we spread this agenda to everybody, because the agenda must be heard by everybody, must be known by everybody, and must be workable by everybody. So, Norma, I said we're insisting on knowledge sharing, but you will bear with me that some African countries are so conservative and isolated in their policies. With this type of mindset, are you sure together we can get to achieving the Africa that we actually want by 2063?
Okay, what I can say first, it's like um when I want to share the skill with you, you need to have the mentality of accepting those skills. If I want to build you, if as a continent we can have the same mentality, share the same mentality in terms of building each other, building our capacity as a continent. It has to start from our mind. It has to the our government need to change their policy in terms it is suitable for the people who are living under those countries. We must start to know how to initiate a program which can make sure that we develop our countries. We must make sure that those programs are being acknowledged and give the mandate to the government to change the policy to be suitable to our people in terms of that they can enhance those skills. So what is important now is that those policy the government policy who are conservative, in order that they are not supporting the capacity building, they are not supporting that they acknowledge the skills from our local people. It's about time that it has to be changed, but it cannot be changed if the people does not stand. There is no government without the people. If the people does not stand up and voice out their opinion, and then if I voice out alone, it cannot be heard because I'm not, I'm just the person from the grassroots, and then my voice is voiceless when coming to the government. But if we stand together, whether in regardless of the classes, because as a human being we have now started to give ourselves classes and say these are the middle class, these are the lower class people, these are the high class people. If we start to work together in regardless of what classes you are regarding yourself you are, and standing on saying we want this to happen, we want the change in our continent, we want the government to understand that they are not government without us, we want them to know that we are capable of standing on our own. We don't need to have a European opinion in order to change our countries to be more economical. Let us be honest. Africa is the most rich continent more than the other continent. The gold is there. We have oil, we have everything to us, but we are the poorest continent because we don't see what we have. We are waiting for something that is outside from us, and then we want it to come to us while we already have something that the European people are coming to our continent to get what we have, and then they take it in on our hands because we don't see the ability that we have, and then the government doesn't acknowledge what we have. So it's about time that they open their mind, they see the reality that we are the richest continent in all the continents, and then we are capable to build any capacity without any assistance.
Thank you, Noma. I listened to you so keenly. You're talking about sharing knowledge, and that to share knowledge, somebody must be teachable. And I insist on this aspect being teachable because you will actually want to share knowledge with somebody, but the person you want to share that knowledge with is not willing to receive the knowledge, and it becomes difficult. And sometimes when we even complain that knowledge is not shared, is because the people who were even around that person who had that capabilities to do something were not open-minded, like you equally insisted of being humble and open-minded. They are not teachable. It becomes difficult for this knowledge to be passed through. And sometimes even they are there, but do not pay attention to what is being done. Like today, you see most of our youths are more concerned with what gives them money instantly. And so they will not want to learn a trade, put in the effort that is required to learn that trade so as to do the work properly. They want to concentrate just in those areas where money can come out from there very quickly, where they can trick people very quickly and get money. And so you see, knowledge begins to die down as it's being passed from generation to generation. Norma, you equally insist on the fact that we are capable of changing ourselves, that Africa is capable of changing herself, that Africa has everything it takes to change herself. And I agree with you very well that we are a rich continent. You see, we should appreciate what we have because Africa is quite rich. And you see, the raw material that is being taken from Africa. I was just talking and laughing with a friend that you see most of the cupboards that we have here in Africa is compacted sawdust, whereas the wood is coming from Africa and they send us the waste to Africa and we buy very expensively and we think that we are having material that is coming from abroad, whereas we can use our own wood here, process it, and produce very good furniture. I insist again, we are rich and we can do everything that we want to do for ourselves. I want to appreciate all those who are with us online on Facebook. I see Emma Lambert who says Africans don't have the culture of sharing ideas and policy successes. How can this problem be tackled? I think we already were talking about for those who can share these ideas, the people to whom the ideas are being shared should be humble enough to accept the ideas, should be open minded to be able to be taught, and they equally should be teachable so that the information will be transferred down the train in a pure and undiluted manner. And in that way, the knowledge will remain intact, the ideas will remain intact, the policy successes are going to be intact, and we together we are going to make Africa what we actually want it to be. Thank you, Norma. I am so happy for having you. You've been absent for quite a while, and you are so resourceful this evening. And we continue with our series of questions. The time is always very short, but we are going to do our best to just give our listeners and our viewers what they expect from our program. We were talking about some African countries being conservatives and isolated, and we agreed that these countries will not be able to succeed, or we can't move hand in glove with people who are not able to share their ideas because the Agenda 2063 is our agenda and we must work together. You said we should support each other and give each other an opportunity. It means for those who are able to do something, they should be given the chance to showcase their abilities. They should be given the chance to showcase their skills. They should be given the chance to showcase their know how so that our knowledge that we have, the capacities that we have, and all that we have learned, we can be able to make life actually beautiful for our beautiful continent, Africa. Norma, the African diaspora has through the years acquired know how in various domains. How can our leaders trust and motivate these our diasporans in building the Africa that we want? In other words, how can our African government use these our brothers who have acquired much knowledge to be able to use this knowledge on the field and improve Africa and make Africa what we want it to be by 2063?
What I can say, when a child leave home and go outside to acquire knowledge, to get skills, to learn what is happening around the world, to understand, uh, to differentiate the life at home and life outside. That child, when comes back home, does not come back as the same person, because at home, if we can be honest with other, at home we are, I can be a child until at the age of 35, still staying at home as an African child, staying at home and then being called like I'm a child. But in other continent, it's a different perspective. When you are away from home, you start to be independent. You start to learn how to survive. You start differentiate what it easily come in your hands and what it you are inquiring. By this example, I'm saying it's like those diasporas who went away from their African countries to learn more about other continents, to acquire the skills. They must be acknowledged to when they come home to plow back and say, I'm this child who went away, I'm back at home. What do you want me to do with the skills? Do you want me to stay with it? Do you want to feed it to myself again? Give them a platform, give them a opportunity to share whatever that they have learned. It doesn't mean that they are recommended as a better people than those who has stayed at home. It means like it's a combination of the skills from when you went away and those who are at home who have learned something that you didn't learn while you were away. So those two people who are at home and those who went away, they can build a better continent or a better country, or sharing why by sharing those skills among other people in the combination of both skills, it can build a better solution. So what I'm saying, it's like we need those diasporas, and the diasporas need those who have enhanced the skills at home to work together in order to make sure that they build a better continent in Africa. And opportunities are, are, are the ones that young people should not just want to go away and get those skills away from a home again. We're not promoting the issue of that you should leave your country and try to get better a greener pasture only to the European continent. Also, the opportunities that we can circle to know amongst each other and learn about learn from each other across the Africa, like moving from South Africa to Cameroon to Kenya, like that. That's is another way. Those are the also are the diasporas from other countries. We are not talking about the only that who went to Europe. We're talking for about the people who have moved from one country to another to learn. We are not when I move to your country, I'm not just there for the holidays. It means like I'm interested to know what is happening in your country and what can build me as a human being. And then, in order, after getting those knowledge, I need to share it to the other people that I get it from home. If I'm surrounded by young people and they want to know what have you learned when you went to Cameroon, this is the information that we need to share. And they should uh, combine whatever that they have at home and into whatever that they get from other people from the diaspora. So the diasporas, they need to have the platform on their own to share the skills that they inherited during their traveling.
Thank you, Norma. I love what you said. You talked of no one is superior. It means whether what you learned was learned here back at home or out there in the Western world, and you come back home to work with those who are here, you are not superior than those who stayed back home, because nobody can learn everything. And so you talked of blending our knowledge, and blending, I can say, sharing our knowledge so that we can make things better. Thank you so much, Norma. I love the way you handled that point. And this goes straight to answering, throwing more light on the aspect of sharing knowledge in order to help us achieve our Agenda 2063. In order for us to make our Agenda 2063 a reality, our diasporans are so important to the government. There is strong arm of the government, and we today we see most of our brothers and sisters who travel out, get the knowledge, and refuse to come back. I don't think they refuse, but I always sometimes feel that they refuse to come back, except somebody proves me wrong. But I really frown at our African brothers and sisters who go out and don't come back. Norma, what is your take about those of our brothers and sisters who go out and acquire knowledge and don't come back? Do you think they actually refuse to come back, or there is something to this that you may need to educate me on this evening?
Let me be honest with you. There is no place like home. Wherever you can go, there is no place like home. But if you are at home and you are not being recognized and you have nothing to live for, this is something that makes our African brothers does not want to come back home. If you are not recognized, if you are not having an opportunity, if you go away and want to come back, and then you find yourself on the same level that you were before you went away, it discourage you to go back home. It means like there must be a platform, there must be opportunities to acknowledge those people who went away. Let me give you an example. If a child went away from a cultural exchange for the year, example in Germany, when you are in Germany, you start to learn a different culture. You start to learn a different language, and then you start to do things in a different way. When you come back at home, you find yourself in a position where you are an African child and also a German child in the middle. But does people recognize you that you are having some challenges in order to adapt to the really world that you are in now? People does not recognize you. There's people start to recognize you as a coconut, someone who think it's better and so on. But it takes time to adapt. Do you get any platform, or do you have any mentorship on saying, okay, you are from another continent, here is the opportunity, here is a desk, here is a platform to share whatever you were living, or to start and build yourself, to build other people on what you have done? No, there is no platform like that in our African continent. They just leave you to start from the grass, from the onset, to rebuild yourself. That is the reason that makes our African brothers and sisters does not want to come back home, because have a fear of starting from the fresh. And then they understand that it was difficult for me to stand until to the level. If I go back from the grassroots, and then what will happen to me? It can be happen that you cannot stand up. If we have a platform, if there is a platform, if the government give them a platform and say, this is an opportunity for the people, for the desperates who went away, this is for them to share and to start from where, not starting from the beginning, but then starting from where they were when they're in another continent. That this is the thing that cannot discourage our people to come back home. But we all want to stay at home. We all believe that the home is a better place for another from other people. But whatever the circumstances that we are dealing with in our daily lives, this that makes us to went away from our African continent.
Thank you. You talked about that there is no place like home, and I love when you said that, because there is never a place like home. And you answer my question by saying that most of the diasporas don't come back home because they are not accompanied. There are no accompanying measures when they come back home, and they fear that they may not be recognized, or their documents, certificates, their qualifications sometimes are not recognized in the country, and they come back and they are stranded. And you say there is no platform equally to accommodate the diasporas. So it makes it difficult for them to come. But do you think this, in another way, leads to brain drain? Is it a favorable factor that just leads to brain drain?
It's not a favorable
Africans
factor.
not coming back.
It's definitely not the favorite factor, because whatever the skills that they have enhanced in their places there, whatever those skills that they have learned, they were supposed to plow back at home. But how they will plow back, it means that they will develop other children from other continent. It means that all the people that who are capable of doing something, they will just move and stay and be comfortable to those continents where they enhance those skills. And then who will benefit? The European kids, who will have the opportunity of using their knowledge and their capability or their energy or their power? Who will benefit? The European again. So we have to look at the issue of that. We give them a platform so that whatever that they have learned, we get it. Our African child learn from it. Our African people benefit for those from those knowledge, and from the time that they have used there, it must come back to home. It must always come back home in order to what to develop our African continent. Who want to develop someone else's house? I don't want to develop someone else's house so that someone else can live comfortable. No, and then you will never be comfortable in another people's country. Wherever you are, you will always sit with one bath. You will never sit with two baths comfortable. You will sit with one because it's not home. It is not home and it will never be home. So it's important that they should come back home. So our government should create a platform so that when they come back home, they have a platform, and they have a platform to use those skills that they have. We must acknowledge their platform. We must acknowledge them. We must appreciate them.
Thank you, Norma. Still tempted to ask you this question. Whereas when I listen to how you
The
have
other thing
developed
that
this
I can
topic
say, the
from the very
2063
beginning up
program,
to this point
uh,
where we are talking
it's
now,
been preached.
the lines are broken. Norma, I was just saying that having listened to you from the very beginning to this point that we are talking, I can see that you are very open-minded. You are optimistic that things are going to work. But I will still really ask you this question. We are talking about a continent driven by its own people by 2063. How realistic is this Agenda 2063 to you, Norma?
It will be realistic if we stop talking and now implementing. Don't you think we've been talking a lot about it? It won't be realistic until we start to see the implementation of it. If we see, like we are talking about capacity building, we should start to stop talking and start to do. Then it's whereby it will be realistic to us. If it's just be on a paper, it's just a policy, it's just a plan, it's not realistic. It will be realistic when we start to implement.
You say it will be
And in
realistic, start
and it's
implementing, and
possible.
you're equally optimistic that we are going to achieve this Agenda 2063. Norma, we are almost going to the end of our program. I wish to appreciate all those who have been writing us, watching us, and listening to us on Facebook Live as well as on YouTube. And I want to ask you this personal question, Norma. Our topic today was talking about capacity building, peer learning, and knowledge sharing, and that how can this make our Agenda 2063 a reality. Norma, what recommendations can you send out there to our government and fellow Africans who are listening to us now and who will listen to us, because this program is going to remain on Facebook, it's going to remain on YouTube live as we are doing now. Those who cannot watch now live, they will equally have the opportunity to follow us after this, and the program will always be there for those who are not watching us live. What recommendations can you give out there to our government as far as capacity building is concerned, peer learning is concerned, and sharing of knowledge is concerned? And I want to add, how can they help our brothers and sisters who have knowledge out there to come back home? Your recommendations, Norma.
Let us start by changing the school system. It has to start there. It has to be something. School must be something that can introduce you to the real world, and then whatever the skills that or the knowledge or the education that you get on this get at school, let it work for you when you finish the school. And let them introduce like subjects like entrepreneurship in the school. Let them introduce something like environmental. Let them introduce something like that can make people to know how to the skills, the cooking skills, the sewing schools, the skills. Let them introduce it. And then they must they must change the mentality of a competition in the school, that I'm better than you because you've got 70%, I've got 30%. This is whereby the knowledge sharing has started, the problem started. Because if I share the knowledge to you and then you will get 90%, it means that you are better than me. We must change the mindset that we are the competition against each other. If they start there, it's where the everything will start. It's in the basic, from the primary level, from the foundation level. They must change the mindset of how they implement this education and the capacity and peer learning. We need to give a platform to young people to be on the leadership skills. They give them a leadership skills, give them a platform to to do those practicals. They must stand, they must voice out. What kind of youth would you want to be, to surround us, who cannot voice for themselves, who cannot stand for themselves? It's about time that we build leaders who will stand. We must share the knowledge. You must give those desperates, I'm saying, come back home. Don't stay there, come back home and share the knowledge. That's my last voice.
Thank you, Norma. That was a powerful one. And I want to conclude with your words. You say, let us change our school system and offer entrepreneurship to our students, our people who are in university. Let us teach them to be employers and not employees. And let us change our mentality and trust in our people. Let us be able to give our people the powers so that they can do things for their own country. And you continue by saying that we equip our schools to meet our demands. And I add equally that support science, technology, and innovation, one of the topics that we touched already, and equally involve our youth in nation building. Let our youth be at the center of nation building. Let them be at the center of decision making, because this agenda is going to meet our youth, because those who even have sat and have developed and brought forth this agenda may not be able to see 2063. I'm not wishing anybody ill, but I am looking at the lifespan of Africans, and we are saying that our youths have to be at the center of everything that is happening in Africa. And you equally said, I don't want to forget that we should stop talking and get to work. Let our African brothers who are in the diaspora and have acquired skills equally come back home, and so that together we can make Africa what we want it to be. Norma, I am so pleased to have had this program with you today, and I am hoping that you always be with us when you have a chance, because this is our platform, this is our space, and we are aimed at popularizing this agenda, because most of our youths are not even aware that they have, or we have, an agenda which is so beautiful, which is shaped for us Africans and by us Africans. Thank you so much, Norma. And that is where we will end today. And our take back message is that we should stop talking and start working. Thank you, Norma. It's been a nice time with you on the program, and hoping to meet you sometime. Goodbye.
Thank you. Together we can do now. Bye.
Bye.